Hello, Northstar here with another Zelda Singularity Let's Play. Sorry, just a moment of shortness of breath here. Something I experience a lot with my long COVID. Um, Especially after exertion, I just went and got a bunch of batteries. They're heavy that had been delivered with Amazon. They were at the door. Been sitting there a bit apparently. Because I need batteries for my mouse and my headphones and I had ordered them in bulk before. Apparently, I ran through them, or I don't know. Some family member took them. Who deal with people I'm related to doing nonsense like that. Um, so it's a rough day for me. I'm tired. Coughing a lot. It's difficult for me to even carry those batteries up the stairs. Um, it just shows how physically weak I am with my long COVID. It's ridiculous. I hate this. Um, was watching a YouTube video about how feel good videos about like kids raising money for their peers to pay off their school lunch debt and stuff, how it's pointing out it just glosses over the inadequacies, the flaws in our system, where it's good and heartwarming that people are helping each other, but these kind of stories never point the blame at the system that makes these bad situations where people feel motivated to go the extra mile to help each other, where it makes the bad situations present in the first place. You know, like families not getting paid enough um, to feed their kids, and there being a big gap in the free and reduced price lunch program, which I kind of remember growing up. A lot of time, my mom had trouble finding work and was on that program, but then there was a period where she was making a little more and suddenly wasn't eligible. There's a big gap. Um, that's kind of a problem. And of course, the school would give different worse meals to people in that program, which I don't think they're supposed to, and they eventually stopped doing that. I think they got in trouble for that because that's supposed to be not how that works. It's supposed to be the same meals. I remember they streamlined it and made it less stigmatizing over time for a while. Everyone knew you were getting them, and you got worse meals. Then you got the same meals, and then they stopped making it so everyone knew you were getting them. So there must have been some kind of lashback because legally they weren't supposed to give different meals. But they were. Um, I don't know. I'm a little intimidated because with the way I'm getting screwed over by Social Security disability, the only thing I can think of is combating the unjust law that has allowed universities to not pay into student employee FICA, which was ostensibly created, as far as I can tell, to protect international students from having to pay in 15% of their wages into a program they're never going to benefit from. But it also screws over, young people who are American citizens who may need that contribution to be eligible for disability if they get disabled at a young age, such as due to a bad car accident, a virus, um, a genetic disease they know they had. Like people get Lou Gehrig's disease and it shows up at like 30 and they don't have the FICA credits a lot of times because they went to grad school. That's a common thing because it tends to hit right at that age where it's the hardest to meet your work credit requirements. And if you did a PhD, I know that's a small subset of people. People who do a PhD and also end up with ALS, but it's a population. Um, Long COVID has created a lot of young people who got disabled, such as myself, and I felt right at that age where it's hardest to qualify for work credits. I did. I got disabled at 31, which is when you need a full 20 credits, even though that requirement stays at 20 until you're 42, which is to say it's the hardest point in your life to meet the requirements, is the point I got disabled. It's also the exact age that people tend to show certain diseases like Lou Gehrig's disease. So again, there's other people. It's not a new um, problem, and it's almost seems intentionally designed to screw over people get certain diseases at that age. But it's an unjust law, and it means that government took effectively an extra 15% because you pay 7.5%, a little more than 7.5%, your employer pays a little more. It's like 7.6 and 7.6. So effectively, it's more than an eighth of what you could have been paid if there was no FICA tax. Would have been paid usually. If the government's taking more than an eighth of your income and then they're giving you nothing on a technicality of you got disabled at an age and a time in your career development where you just happen to not meet this requirement that we created, it's unjust. So I think of is maybe trying to challenge that law. Like that would probably have to go up to like the Supreme Court or something, which is not a battle that the long COVID seems doable. Plus, I'd have to have like an NGO or something that would help me legally with that. Would argue indeed it's unjust and it's unfair and wrong to screw over young people who had no say in this law, but also probably didn't even know it existed. If they get disabled, like say right out of college or right out of grad school, and they would have been eligible for disability if not for the university not having to pay in to their FICA. And a rule that was ostensibly created to protect international students. There's a very easy solution, and that's to not charge FICA international students, but to charge it to U.S. citizens. And as a matter of fact, I've heard horror stories all over the internet. Well, not horror stories, but there's stories all over the internet of international students getting charged FICA when they're not supposed to. So what the universities are actually doing is fucking up and not even benefiting those populations all the time because they're too lazy to like. I don't know. I guess that could be an argument for them not treating the population separately if they're too not on top of things already. And sometimes they're charging people who aren't supposed to be charged, and to then actually have two distinct populations. But right, the program was originally created to be a social safety net, and this isn't just. But this would be kind of like the people who challenge who sued the government because of climate change and argue it was jeopardizing the future. It's kind of a matter of the law is a certain thing, but the law is unjust and wrong, and challenging it because in this case, the federal government mismanaged the pandemic. That is why so many people got the disease, and there's no recourse of action to like my roommate across multiple state lines with a COVID infection affected me. It's not like he has the money to. There's nothing I can do there. You can't expect people to just individually be able to protect themselves, and there's all sorts of ways people can endanger them like my roommate did, and there's no real recourse because it's not like I could, it's not like he can afford to be paying a massive amount of money to deal with how he screwed up my life. I mean that's not going to happen realistically, and I would put all the blame on one person when of course the problem is the disinformation and it's just a flu narratives that were being spread by Trump and others in the media. But I don't know, it seems a hopeless situation. It probably is, because taking on power in this country, the best I could do is draw attention to the issue and probably lose. But hey, if a guy in newspaper reporting or something, maybe the law would be changed for others in the future. I don't know. I have to file an appeal the stupid decision regardless, because if you don't appeal it, they'll use that to deny any future applications, even if something else comes up, new grounds for appeal later, which is bullshit. This is something that's so unjust that even the Bush administration tried to fix it in their presidency, and partially did in that now they have to provide a disclaimer on the Social Security forms that if you don't appeal, they can do this to fuck you. Like, they didn't have to put that disclaimer in the forms before the Bush administration made him add the disclaimer. Like Bush Jr. But the fact that Bush Jr., who was a raving asshole, that it was so unjust even his administration wanted to do something about it, says, you know, that's some bullshit. I don't know. Dealing with a family member I'm staying with, constant complaints about their own health. But when I ask them, hey, can you, when I had a form before that needed to be faxed in and to the IRS, and there was no way I could know if the IRS had gotten it for 2 months, so I needed to use the reliable method of the library fax machines. This person's like, no, I'm not going to do it. It's too much work for me. Use this app on my phone instead. But now I'm saying, hey, I got this form. I at least can check if it arrived in reasonable time. So can you just help me do it with the app on the phone? Then the person just keeps flaking on it, which is to say this person is selfish and only thinks of ways to get out of helping me. So if I say do the library, they'll say, no, do this app. And if I say, can you help me with the app? Then they'll do nothing. Maybe I should have asked for the library again. Truly. So I have to deal with narcissistic and selfish family relatives, family members, people I was born related to, not like family that I chose, family that by birth. I have to deal with the government fucking me over, and I have, of course, to deal with my disease. It's all a terrible situation. So, I'm doing what I can here to try and build my YouTube channel to where it can make money off of ad revenue. I can maybe survive if I'm lucky, if it gets big enough. And use the channel as also a means to call attention to issues like this, and maybe try and incite some of you folks to changes in your political views, at least to understand that the government needs to fix these programs. And so if an effort to fix them down the line comes up, you can at least vote for people who declare that they want to fix these problems. If nothing else, though ideally, with how our country is in danger of sliding to fascism, we need people to get out and protest and do a lot more than that. Electoralism is not enough of a solution anymore, and in fact it really never was, since politicians just get bought by billionaires. People need to protest, they need to strike, they need to file lawsuits, and that's all that people can do. In a past age, in a different country, maybe they could have armed themselves, but in the United States, that's just asking for needless death and violence, and it's not going to change anything. Because the U.S. military is so damn powerful and the police are so militarized. I mean, what happened when the Black Panthers armed themselves? They just got murdered, and laws are passed to restrict their Second Amendment rights. So that's not going to do anything. I do not advocate or encourage that. If you think I'm wrong, go ahead. Think I'm wrong. You're free to your own opinions and your own actions, but I'm not going to. I'm not going to encourage anything I think is futile, but there are a lot of things that aren't futile. Lawsuits, protests, strikes, sit-ins. I can only officially advocate legal strikes and protests, but you guys all know how they get declared illegal even when they shouldn't be. So, but the right to protest and strike is constitutionally protected, basically, so I can advocate it. I'm not advocating a specific strike that may or may not be illegal. So, leave it up to your judgment calls on that. And I don't think you can penalize me for saying go and exercise your First Amendment rights. I can always say that keep in mind that those of power are going to try and restrict your exercise of your rights, and you may have to file legal challenges that and more, because it's wrong, and some people will choose to ignore them, and I'm not going to condemn that because I don't think that's futile. I'm just not going to espouse that. they start declaring protests that should be illegal. It's on the people who ignore the wrong-headed and violation of their rights declarations that they can't protest. It's up on them what they do there. I don't think any course of action at that point is futile, but again, I will not espouse a specific course of action. Besides, everything, when you get in those situations, everything has to be always taken on a case-by-case basis. You have to look at the facts on the ground. So, even if there wasn't YouTube censorship, it would be a matter of me not knowing the facts, so I can't espouse anything, because I don't know what situation you'll find yourselves in. But do get out and at least, it's legal to organize protests and strikes to do it. How responded police show up and start bashing heads in, or they're trying to revoke permits that they should have no right to revoke, that's up to you. But do get out and organize the strikes for sure. That's the first step no matter what. At least do that, because that is legal, that is Constitution protected. They can't take away your right to at least try and organize strikes and protests. Things are in great danger in the U.S. I don't know what the heck I'm going to do, because not many countries will take a disabled person who has no income, no real assets, meager assets, too much for SSI, but too little to go to a country and say, here I have like $250,000 or something. You'll let me move in, right? If I had that much money, they would probably. But you're not going to look at like 15, 16,000 savings and say, sure, you can come to our country, disabled person who can't like live for that off that money for very long. No. So things would have to get bad enough I could apply for political asylum before any like European countries would actually let me in, probably. Probably. Someone knows better, leave something in the comments if they know that countries are already letting in Americans who feel endangered by the way politics are going, or disabled people are getting screwed by unjust welfare systems, or let me know, because I'm desperate to outlast these fuckers. The best revenge against the evil assholes who want you to die is to survive, outlive them, because these assholes will get themselves killed in wars and end up on the Hague, at the Hague, probably getting sentenced to death by courts if they keep doing what they're doing. The U.S. is not invincible, even if it's got the most powerful army in the world. And Trump goes invading Canada, say, and ends up fighting like the EU and China and Russia all at the same time, the U.S. could lose. And then, Trump could go and his cronies could end up at the Hague. Something that can't be done normally, because the U.S. threatens to invade the Hague if any U.S. officials or soldiers are tried for war crimes there. So it would have to be to a defeated U.S. But that could happen. I do hope there's some kind of justice in the end, and that is one form of hoping these people get tried in the Hague for their crimes, because they will go and commit all sorts of crimes against humanity. I'm not saying things they've done, I'm saying things that they will do. That when they do those things, if they do these things, they're going full on Nazi. They'll probably, they've already illegally deported legal U.S. residents and stuck them in prison work camps in Central America. If you guys remember hearing that story, there were a bunch of Venezuelans. They had green cards. They had every legal right to be in the U.S. They were deported to what was it, Costa Rica or something, or El Salvador, and thrown in a prison and made to do heads were shaved, and they're made to do forced labor. Like, that's illegal. That's a crime against humanity. Literally, the Geneva Convention forbids forced labor, and they're just doing it to people who they have no legal right, even under U.S. law, to do it to. So, in a just world, Trump would already be, tried for crimes at the Hague for that. He's gonna do worse shit, way worse shit. So yeah, but yeah, the best revenge for people like me is to outlive these bastards, to not let them kill me, because that's what they want. Is they want people like me to die if I'm too sick to work. They don't want to invest in long COVID research funding. They're trying to cut the U.S. medical research budget in half. They want me to die. And that is evil, vile shit. The only thing I can do is hold on despite their crap. Refuse to allow them to kill me. And, viewers, people like me are depending on people like you to do something, to stand up. Because it can't just be people like me stand up alone. Especially I can barely stand with my disease sometimes. Need people to get out there and fight against these injustices that are being done. To get out, by fight I mean protest, lawsuits, these kind of things. To stand up to these assholes before it's too late, because they're just going to keep doing worse and worse things to hurt people, all sorts, not just me, not just you, all sorts of people around the country and around the globe are going to get hurt by these pricks. It's what you've seen now is only the beginning of what they're going to do. So stand up before it's too late. Well, my first things first. I gotta get that stupid appeal in, and then gotta look around, see if I can find an NGO maybe who'll help me. I think what I'm gonna have to do is challenge this unjust law, and that's not gonna be easy. I would strongly suspect that everyone will say, no, we can't help, we got more important priorities, or just say, no, we can't help and not give a reason. Nobody wants to stick on the program, especially about a law that's been marketed as protecting immigrants, even though it doesn't protect immigrants, because they still are charging FICA taxes to international students anyways. You can't get university employment without being legal anyways. Universities aren't known for doing a lot of illegal labor, at least not in these types of student jobs that they're doing the FICA. They might do in the kitchen, but they weren't charging like cafeteria kitchen workers FICA taxes, illegal ones either way. No, this is being used supposedly to protect their national students, but they're getting screwed either way. And they are definitely FICA taxes are being charged in jobs they work after they finish university if they stay in the country, even though, again, they can't benefit from them. So it's not protecting anyone. It's a law that it's only given those aesthetics of supposedly doing so, so they could screw over young people and help universities keep their costs down, so the fucking boards of trustees universities could continue to pay themselves multi-million-dollar salaries. Yeah, even non-profit universities are often a scam for these board of trustees members. They run them like they're for-profit institutions, even though they're supposed to be non-profits. I remember I went to a certain state university and the president was paying himself a multi-million-dollar salary. It's a public state institution. They're not supposed to be paying themselves millions and millions of dollars. I shouldn't say where. I shouldn't even say if that was undergrad or grad school, though people who follow my channel may know something where I went to undergrad. I've mentioned the type of institution. Probably shouldn't even let that in. If there's somebody stalking me here, they'll go and search it. But anyways, there's weirdos who want to like dox you online these days. Enough of that. I should probably go on to other things. Maybe do a Starbound Let's Play. So viewers, I wish you all the best. Take care of each other. Be kind to yourselves. May you always find a guiding star to lead you home. Adieu.